I recently got a 1993 DOD FX69 Grunge pedal. When I first got it, I made a post about it on my Instagram, and upon seeing all the comments and messages regarding it, I was kind of amazed and taken back at how much misinformation exists about Kurt's use of this pedal. I feel like when it comes to Nirvana gear, there's a lot of mysteries, a lot of things we still don't know, and the topic that I think has the most misinformation and misunderstanding is the Jag Stang. I've been meaning to make a history video about the Jag Stang, but there's so much ground to cover, there's so much information out there and so much misinformation out there that the research for that video has been taking a while. But after posting about this pedal, I'm surprised to see that probably the second topic that has the most misinformation when it comes to Kurt's use of it would be this. I got people telling me basically everything. Everything from Kurt never owned one, he never touched one, to he owned one but never turned it on, he never had it on stage, or to he owned one, had it on stage, but never turned it on because he only had it there to troll people. And some people started asking me things like, why would Kurt pay for a gimmick pedal like that? And I also got, how much did DOD pay Kurt to use that pedal, and why would he accept that money? Because that would go against everything he stood for as a punk rocker. So after seeing people saying that he either never owned it, never touched it, never had it on stage, never turned it on, and DOD paid him to use it, I'm just gonna put it out there, all that is false and the information is all out there. So I was planning to make a demo video of this pedal right away, but after seeing all the response to it like that, I was inspired to compile all the accurate information about it and basically open the video with a mini history section about this pedal before you hear it. And if you guys like this kind of thing, let me know, because then I might make this a series, like kind of how I have my Nirvana guitar history series. I could also do a Nirvana pedal history series, so if you're into that, let me know and I'll do more. So here are the facts regarding the DOD Grunge pedal and Kurt Cobain's use of it. This pedal was released in 1993 and was largely seen as a cash-in on the grunge movement, and it wasn't taken too seriously. It was designed by a young punk rocker at the time named Jason Lamb. His goal was to create unique and memorable pedals for DOD to put out. There went on to be 2 other versions of this pedal, so there are 3 versions total, but we are going to focus on the version that Kurt used, which is the original first run of the grunge pedals. So very simply put, it's a distortion pedal that visually looks pretty cool, you gotta admit. It's this cool shade of purple, and it has kind of like this industrial look, like it's meant to look like broken rocks or something like that. I think a big reason it wasn't taken seriously at the time, other than the fact that it's literally called the grunge pedal, is the knobs. We've got loud, butt, face, and grunge. So you can only imagine, like at a time before the internet, people walking into a guitar store when grunge is the biggest thing in the world at that time, seeing this pedal and thinking, what does butt do? What does grunge do? But the functions of the pedal are, loud is volume, butt is bass, face is treble, and grunge is gain. Kurt Cobain 100% owned and used one of these pedals for a short while in December of 1993. We see it on the Live and Loud DVD. We get short glimpses of it throughout the show, but the best look that we get at it is towards the end of Endless Nameless. That show took place on December 13th, 1993. The show before Live and Loud was 3 days prior, on December 10th in St. Paul, Minnesota, one of my personal favorite Nirvana shows. This is the first show that Kurt used the grunge pedal. He got it that day, and we know this because he told us.
I got a new effects box today, it's called the Grunge pedal.
We can also hear it during that show. Kurt had it in place of his Boss DS2, so the 2 distortion pedals he had were the Sans Amp and the Grunge. Anyone who has played both of these pedals would be able to tell you that they sound distinctively different. So in my opinion, it's not too hard to tell them apart even on an audience bootleg. We can hear it on a few songs during that show, including About a Girl and in Smells Like Teen Spirit. He turns it on halfway through the solo. A few weeks later, on December 29th in San Diego, Kurt threw this pedal out into the crowd, and we know this because there's video of that show where Kurt jokes about it, saying,
"Excuse me, that was my grunge pedal."
So we know that Kurt got it and used it on December 10th. We see it at Live and Loud on December 13th, and we have video of him getting rid of it on December 29th. Between these dates, there are 4 shows. So we can more or less safely conclude that he had this pedal at his feet for 7 shows in December of 1993. We can also, in my opinion, pretty obviously hear it on Live and Loud. It has a very distinct buzzsaw-like tone, and whether that's a good or bad thing, that depends who you're asking. But objectively, it has a unique sound that the Sans amp can't quite do. So when we listen to Live and Loud, we can easily hear it on Breed, The Man Who Sold the World, School, The Last Note of All Apologies, and during sections of Endless Nameless. That's also where we can see Kurt clicking on. Okay, so we've discussed that Kurt Cobain, yes, he actually had this, and he owned it, and he used this. So now let's address why. When Kurt's guitar tech Ernie Bailey was asked why Kurt had this pedal, Ernie said he couldn't quite remember how Nirvana got this pedal, but that he does remember that a few years later, that DOD sent a bunch of pedals to the Foo Fighters for them to try out. So he went on to say that he believes it must have been a similar case with Nirvana, that DOD simply just sent it to the band, with their fingers crossed, hoping that someone would use it. On Instagram, a gentleman named Jeremy sent me a message, saying, "My friend Jason designed that pedal. He loved that Kurt Cobain used it." I thought that was really cool, and I responded to him saying, "Tell Jason I said thank you for designing such a cool pedal." And I was hoping I'd be able to ask him for contact information so I could talk to Jason directly and ask him for more information about this pedal's design. Jeremy then went on to share that his friend Jason sadly passed away in 2016, but Jeremy himself had some pretty cool insight to share in regards to this pedal. He said, "From what I understood, he had DOD send the pedal to Kurt for him to try. He made it similar to the DS1 circuit, but with more gain. The packaging was tongue-in-cheek, and that's why he sent it out. It was only used a few times from what I understand." So with the story that we have from Ernie's memory, and the story from Jeremy, who was friends with the pedal's designer, we can safely conclude that DOD simply just sent the pedal to Nirvana. Kurt did not pay for a gimmick pedal, and DOD did not pay Kurt to use it. So as I was researching this pedal and trying to find all the information I could about it, I came across this interesting supposed quote from Kurt that I want to talk about. The JHS show has an article on their site called the DOD Lamb series, which is an overview of all the pedals that Jason Lamb designed for DOD. It starts off with a section about the grunge pedal, and I'm going to read you guys a section that caught my attention. The only thing that could amp up its popularity even more? Product placement by the great Kurt Cobain. Cobain got the grunge pedal and put it on his board primarily out of fascination that there was a pedal that said grunge, since Nirvana was the ultimate grunge band. In a move that would make Jason Lamb proud, Cobain put the grunge pedal on the board mainly to troll people, to have fun. His sound tech said that it was there for several months, and he never even turned it on. Just the same, when MTV interviewed Kurt at a live concert and asked, "Why do Nirvana's guitars sound so cool? Why are they so awesome?" He held up the pedal and said, "Well, it's the DOD grunge, of course." I don't know, guys, I saw that, and there were just several things that stuck out to me right away as being just not accurate. First of all, his sound tech said it was on there for several months. Trust me, I researched this up and down after finding this article. I cannot find any interviews, any quotes from Ernie or Jim Vincent or Big John regarding this pedal. And from the footage that's available to us, we know that Kurt only had it for a few weeks, not several months. I would love to be shown footage or a picture from, let's say, October or September of 93, where we can see Kurt with the pedal so we can confidently say, yes, he had it for several months. But remember, we have audio of Kurt saying on December 10th that he got the pedal that day, and video of him getting rid of it on December 29th. We only know him to have had it for a few weeks, not several months. And he never even turned it on.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
This is the section that stuck out to me the most, when MTV interviewed Kurt at a live concert. And then the quote from Kurt, "Well, it's the DOD grunge, of course." Here's the thing. We don't have many quotes directly from Kurt regarding his gear. We have him twice saying that the Mustang is his favorite guitar, and there are a few interviews where he brings up his Boss pedals, but he never calls them Boss, he calls them Roland pedals, which can get a little confusing, but that's him talking about his Boss DS1. So I saw this article and I thought right away, wow, I have never seen that quote. I want to see the full interview. Where did this come from? It says MTV interviewed Kurt at a live concert. Which show was that? So trust me, I exhausted myself trying to find the source of this quote. And here's what I came up with. When you search this quote, all you find is this article and a few eBay and Reverb listings where they copy and pasted this section to put in the description to connect the pedal to Kurt. But then I found that there is a book called Stompbox 100 Pedals of the World's Greatest Guitarists that was released just a few years ago in 2021. And on Google Books, you can get a preview of the book, and we can read the section where the DOD grunge is talked about. And interestingly, the section that I read to you from that article was taken word for word from this book. So then I dug a little deeper. One of the authors of this book is named Elon Paz, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. If you go to GHS's website, you will see that the founder, Josh Scott, has collaborated with Elon. Josh even collaborated with him on this specific Stompbox book. So then no harm, no foul there for this article having taken this section from the book word for word. The authors worked together, so that makes sense. But still, it doesn't answer where this quote came from. And going back to livenirvana.com, because that's the best source for all accurate information about the band, they have an interview archive, and they have transcribed every available interview that exists of Nirvana, even ones that aren't in English. So I read through all of them in this time period, all the MTV ones, and I can't find a single instance of MTV interviewing Kurt at a concert and Kurt talking about the DOD grunge pedal in this way. And again, like I said, searching for this quote turns up nothing when it comes to an interview or anything even from MTV. You just get this book, you get this article, and you get eBay and Reverb listings. So based off of that information, like I hate saying this, but evidence suggests that this quote is simply made up. Like I would love to be proven wrong. If anyone has this interview or a video even better of Kurt holding up this pedal and saying, well, it's the DOD grunge, I'd love to be proven wrong, so please send that to me because I looked and I can't find anything about this quote. The story doesn't end with Kurt throwing this pedal out into the crowd on December 29th. In a 2011 episode of Pawn Stars, a man named Justin went onto the show to sell the exact grunge pedal that Kurt used and threw into the crowd. His wife was the one who got the pedal at that show. And with the pedal, he brought a ticket stub and a printed out email from Jim Vincent talking about the pedal. He went onto the show looking to get $15,000. The clip is pretty cringy to watch, and not because of the pedal or because of the seller, but because of the show. Corey Big Hoss Harrison is just downright condescending and seems like he doesn't want to take this too seriously. And then he calls in his guitar pedal expert friend, who also gives off the impression that he doesn't know much about this pedal or Nirvana or Kurt, and gives it a value of $1,000 to $2,000. And the seller, Justin, understandably so, disagrees with that number right away. Considering the influence that Kurt has on music and on culture and on guitar playing, a pedal that he used and that we have proof that he used, offering $1,000 to $2,000 is pretty insulting, considering what other pieces of gear of his have gone for. Corey then goes on to say, based off that estimate, I can offer you $500. Just think about that. $500 for a pedal that Kurt Cobain played. Justin says he'll go as low as $5,000, but that's it. Big Hoss doesn't accept, and there is no deal on Pawn Stars. Years later though, in 2021, my friends over at Julian's Auctions auctioned this pedal off, and it ended up going for $16,000, $1,000 more than Justin and his wife were looking for when they went on Pawn Stars. So I think it's safe to guess that they were pretty happy that they went to a company that takes this kind of stuff seriously, and they got what they thought the pedal was worth. Now that we've talked up and down about this pedal's history and Kurt's use of it, I'm sure you guys are just dying to hear it. So you'll now hear me demo this pedal. My opinion of it is that it does kind of sound like a DS1, but like mixed with fuzz. Particularly when you play with the face knob, it's not only treble, but it brings in a decent amount of fuzz too. And this pedal objectively does have a pretty bad reputation. It's pretty universally hated. But from my time with it so far, if I keep the grunge and the face knob at 0, it's actually a pretty good pedal, especially with butt turned up all the way, which sounds really silly because I guess when it comes to grunge pedals, I like a lot more butt than I like face. But yes, with face turned down and butt turned up all the way, you do get some low end heavy, pretty cool, almost sludgy kind of tones. Good for like Melvins and Black Sabbath. So you now hear me play this pedal on several different settings, so you can get an idea of the scope of what this pedal can do. I will be using my Skystang 1 replica for this demo, as that was Kurt's main guitar at the time that he had this pedal. I'm playing through my Fender Twin Reverb, and I will start off with just playing clean so you can get an idea of my clean tone, and then we'll get right into all the different distortion possibilities you can get with this pedal. Whether it be with a lot of butt and a lot of face, or a lot of face and no butt, objectively, this pedal can do a lot. And depending on how you set it, it can sound like a super aggressive buzzsaw that's not very pleasant, or it can get you some sludgy tones that's actually pretty cool. So let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Follow me on Instagram at Nirvana Guitars, and subscribe and check out my other Nirvana gear videos right here on YouTube.